everybody. Yeah, the prizes for me should be what motivates everybody to kind of tune in and to participate. So I think I announced those on my live stream a couple weeks ago. We've also posted it up on the ministry's Facebook page, and now and I have had some parents reach out with interest. In fact, one reached out to the ministry because I think their daughter turns 12 in September. And so we've talked about it a bit, and we'll also inform them officially. But we talked about it today as a cabinet and decided, you know what, if you're turning 12 in September, most times because of how your birthday falls, I also had that problem where I was like a couple of months or a year behind almost everybody because of my birthday and our birthday. Actually, you got the same problem. So yeah, to not penalize them for that, I think if you're turning 12 in September, you're able to participate. If you feel you can write at the level that makes you a contender, then by all means.
Okay, so give us a little bit, synopsis. How this whole idea came about on the story telling process?
So throughout Parliament, my time in Parliament, and even before that, like a lot of what I've done in terms of working with NGOs and such, you see that literacy, is becoming increasingly important, but it's also becoming increasingly unimportant for some. And I think for me, it's about trying to show kids that, reading is not just about, studying for school and such. It is about opening your mind and opening your imagination. And it can lead to a host of careers, I remember when we were doing the Under 4C Foundation, when Marvia and I were doing the FTW game competition, a lot of the students that crossed our path didn't realize like there's more to even gaming than that. Someone has to write it. All the text you see, someone had to sit down and write that. Someone with a creative passion for writing had to come up with that storyline, and you have a lot of kids that are fans of big RPGs, and even that. Any word you hear uttered in Fortnite, someone had to think of that and write it down. So
even from the movies that they watch,
precisely,
and the TV shows on whatever Nickelodeon,
for sure,
Disney, whatever.
So that was basically my motivation on that point, that I wanted to do something like this, and the fact that I ended up becoming minister, was just an additional platform. This is something that I wanted to have happen regardless, whether it was me just going to private sector and saying, hey, this is what I want to do, or now on this platform being able to have government be the driver, because I think it's important that as a ministry, as one of the more academic ministries, that we do push an attention to literacy and attention to writing, because it does open up doors for you in the long run.
Okay, all right. So what is the criteria for this? What do you want to call it, like a competition? Do you want to call it?
It's a contest for sure. Contest? Yeah. It's a contest for sure, because you have to. I know many folks who've won prizes writing short stories in the US. You have some short story contests where the first prize could be anything like $3,000, and you have a lot of people that do that like on a regular, like that is a side passion that they do to even generate income. So we, as I mentioned, it's normally we had it for 12 to 14 years old. We felt that was a comparable level. At first we were like, do we do 10 or do we do? But we said 12 to 14. Of course, if your kid is turning 12 in September, they can participate. That's something that we decided today, and we will update our promo material to kind of reflect that. And for me, I think what I'm most excited about is the theme. So it's Guardians of the Great Salt Pond, but the background behind that theme was a Afro-Caribbean futurism kind of vibe. Like think Black Panther, Wakanda. Like in technology, what can your creativity unleash in how we can use technology and anything really to help protect the salt pond, protect the mountains environment and such. And so getting that element of culture into it as well was important for me as minister. So
all right. So this gives them basically the opportunity, like you said, to expand their minds and create
just go wild
and character development,
world, all of that. And I think it's in them, because when I did the school tour, many would either write cards for me, or some, Mac, the outgoing Group 6A at Mac Jack campus did whole comics, like mini comics for me. Very dramatic. I was like, wow, you guys are.
Is that Iron Man Jack or something? These kids. So
I definitely want to tap into that and unleash that and see, what they come with.
Okay, that's cool. Now, what else? So they have a theme, so they have to stick to that theme.
Yes.
What about the length of the story?
750 words minimum, 3,000 words
that's
maximum.
minimum.
Yeah,
Okay.
minimum 750 words. I did that CXC style. You remember that?
Right. Does it have to be in the MLA format too? Or, no. Okay, good. Okay, so about 3,000 max.
Yeah.
And basically they have free range.
Yeah, and I think too, like the length of a story, so that doesn't often matter. You can tell a powerful story in a short format.
Right.
So that's where the 750 word length minimum came out. Because you can make a great point in 750 words, but you can.
I always say this, especially during elections when we have interviews of like 15 minutes. That's it. Like, listen, if you can't convince me to vote for you in 15 minutes, shouldn't be running.
You shouldn't be here.
Yeah. So you said the deadline is when?
So submissions start August 1st.
Submissions
start August 1st and run through August 21st. And then that's when we close accepting any stories. And then judging will start. Judging will start as stories come in. And then on the 8th of September, which is World Literacy Day, your birthday, we're going to announce the winners.
Yeah. Nice. So what are the prizes? What's the incentive to get them to write?
So we have some great sponsors, and I have to thank all of them. Bule Chance, Class Electronics, Antec, and RBC. Antec for the first prize winner, you're going to get a laptop, Office app subscription as well, courtesy of Antec. Yes, and for Bule Chance, and Class, they're also contributing tablets of different tiers, and the real thing for me, the real one that I was most passionate and most happy to convince, they were very excited to join up, was RBC. So each winner is going to get a accrual savings account opened in their name with a starting balance, courtesy of RBC.
Nice.
First place is going to get a starting balance of, I think, 1,800 guilders, so because I'm thinking in dollars. Second place is also going to get a starting balance, I believe 500 guilders, I have to check, or 1,000 guilders. And then third place, I think, third place I believe is at 500. But the intention is that these kids are 12.
Right.
If you're 12, you're a winner, or you're 14. You can't touch it until you're 18. You can't withdraw. Your parents can't withdraw. People can add to it.
And
people
it also gets interest as well.
And it also gets interest. People can contribute to it. But the intention was that you start off at the point where when you turn 18, there's something there for you.
Right.
So teaching a bit of financial literacy as well, because literacy is not just words. It's your numeracy. It's literacy on how you spend money, how money is made, how money is saved, and how you can start off at least when you start your collegiate journey, maybe at that age. And who knows, maybe this will inspire them to enter other short story contests. You have a lot of Caribbean literature contests that happen that we don't really know about, and I try to always reshare, repost on my social media and such, and maybe they'll participate in those and win some earnings there. So it's really about kickstarting that overall literacy competency for them. And really looking forward to what we get in.
Now, what is the voting criteria? Like, what are you looking for? Who's going to be reading all these stories?
So the judges are going to be announced soon. The judges are going to be announced soon. I'm trying to do staggered announcements so that people don't start to hound them either, because I don't want them running up. Imagine you're a judge and it's like, Super, listen, my child is submitting a story.
That's your
child, and you didn't even stand at the church.
Right.
But no, so it's basically incorporation of the theme. Of course, character development, world development. Like how does the story make the judge feel? Do they feel like this is a believable world? And again, believable doesn't mean that you can't have flying cars now. It just means that I have to say, this is something that I can I can put myself in in that role. And so all of that criteria is going to be put out as well. We have to have a meeting with the judges to explain to them what the criteria is. And then they will go forward from it. But we will communicate all of that. And of course, your grammar, your spelling. There is, of course, a leniency for, Simat in English. You have that in many Caribbean books where, you see certain slangs and colloquialisms pop up that normally
Right.
ain't proper English, as they would say. But this is creative writing,
Okay.
so
All right.
be creative.
And it's open basically for anyone between the ages of 12 to 14.
12 and 14, and if you're turning 12 in September, it's open for you as well.
Public school, private school,
Doesn't
whatever,
matter.
doesn't matter. As long as you.
I've even had some adults come and say, maybe I have the heart of a child. I said it doesn't. I said it doesn't work like that, but
Well, maybe it's something because, like you said, education for you is across the board.
for sure.
You know, whether you're a child or an adult, maybe that's something you could look into.
Yeah, no, definitely. The as I started to talk to people about it, and they started to react and say, okay, but what about me? I said, well, maybe it is an option that we look at how we can build out a short story contest for an adult level, let's say, or just add it as a tier to this particular contest. Then you have like different levels. So you have your 12 to 14, then you have maybe your 18 to 22, and so forth.
All right. What about the once the winners are announced? Will the stories be published? Are you maybe team up with the what do you call it, illustrator, designer, maybe to?
I would love to. That is actually part of some of the discussions that I've been having with my team about doing such a thing. And what I would love to see is that after 3 years of this contest, that maybe we are able to access whether some funds or so a publishing house that wants to work with us and then publish it as a book.
Oh, nice.
That can be sold, and then that can be pumped right back into the short story contest. Maybe increase the number, the amount that you start with as a savings account. Because I would love as well for most of the sponsors have come on structurally. So for the next 3 years they're committed. RBC, of course, is a bank. They have to kind of see year to year, but I don't doubt that this is something that they would be excited to continue to support. So so we can see how we can maximize the potential of this. And I'm very happy as well that I received permission from the late Dame Ruby Bute's family to use her name for this. Most of us know her paintings and such, but she was also a great storyteller, and that is really what this is about. It's about finding that story within yourself that you want to share with Simat and then with the wider world. So really looking forward to how our kids activate their creative writing.
Absolutely, sounds good. So if persons have want any information on this, want to get more details, they just have to go to the.
They can message the ministry's Facebook page. They will get an answer there. As I mentioned, that's how I even thought. Well, if you're turning 12 in September, we should let you participate. So they can message the ministry's Facebook page. People, of course, just stop me wherever, so I don't mind that. That's okay too. If you see me, and we will continue to share promo and share information as the summer goes on.
All right, sounds good.
Yes,
Minister of Education, Culture, and Sports, Melissa Gumbs here with us this morning on the Super Duper Morning Show, talking about the latest short story contest that she has.
Maybe we have you read it on the air, the winning stories.
That would be cool. That'd be cool. Or maybe
because I remember you reading at the library.
Ah, yes, I did.
The voices and all. So
So that could be something, or maybe invite the winner, or because we do the Swaliti Stories Sportsy Foundation, I could have the winner come in. And I could that could be my contribution. So they read the story. They create the voices and whatever they want to do, and then I put together the soundtrack, the sound effects.
That'd be perfect.
To give the story a little bit more,
You heard it here, guys.
So
and it's on live. It's on live. It's confirmed. It's recorded.
There you go.
It lives on the internet.
I'm one step closer to getting into heaven. So there we go. All right. Now, Minister, before you leave, there's a couple of things. I know you're a little bit over time. You have a council of.
No, I'm good.
Okay, no press.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I just saw in the papers this morning that government launches a national youth monitor to track well-being and development of minors. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
I believe that's coming out from its collaboration between ECYS and of course VSI. That's essentially where a lot of that is driven, and it's really about tracking. I know it sounds terrible. But I think you can't. How do you say? In business class, they taught me you cannot manage what you can't measure. And I think for us, we lack a lot of data that's critical, especially in education. There is a lot of data that has not been acted on. But ultimately, it's these things that are not being monitored properly, which is, well-being, their social development, personal development, academic development. And it's really about trying to get to a point of we can collect this data and then we can make decisions that will improve whatever is there.
Right.
This is a large part of where this short story contest comes from as well. We also have another set of data that will be coming out, which is the results of the EGRA and EGMA assessments, which is the early grade reading assessment and the early grade mathematics assessment. And for me, I came in, and I think Minister Bruch will agree with me that he he came in, and you meet a lot of things that are pending a decision, that are pending action being taken. But this is really about, the Youth Monitor is really about making sure that there is good social development in our young people. A lot of the violence that you see, and I keep mentioning the Ministry of VSA, because a lot of this, yes, we can collect the data, but a lot of what is impacting them involves other ministries. And I think everybody knows that from a socioeconomic perspective, there are things that are impacting how our young people are developing, their well-being, how they feel, their mental health. And so we need to, as a ministry, get that information and then work with our colleague ministers to see how can we better address it and how can we fix it. It will not happen overnight. That, I think, is something that we as a country are still learning, that there is no such thing as instant gratification. However, you at least start the process of being able to track it further and see where we can how we can improve.
Okay. Speaking about improvements, how were the results overall when it comes to the end of year exams for the primary and secondary schools?
It was we have a lot of work to do. Let me just put it like that. I will leave the departments and the divisions, get to where they put it out on their own, because they do have to, finalize their data collation, and you want to be able to communicate these things in a way where the public understands that, it may look tough, but it's not impossible to turn it around. And I think for me, that is something that I have communicated to the ministry. I'm not afraid to put out statistics that are not favorable. You cannot move, or you cannot work on an improvement plan, and I mentioned this in Parliament as well, without knowing where you're at. And if you're not willing to communicate to the public that we have a problem, then the public cannot join in, because governance, at the end of the day, yes, I make decisions, but education is a community task. The development of people, how society develops, it's a community task. And if the community is not aware of what the reality is, they're not going to be able to get along with the solution. And so for me, it's important as well to be able to put information out there that is not meant to alarm anybody. And some of it might be, worrying, but it is to say, hey, this is an issue, and I cannot fix it alone. I may be minister, but I'm not in your house, in your kitchen, in your living room. I don't have access to your child's game console or tablet to turn it off for them and put a book in their hand or anything like that. You do. And it's really to get back to that point of where the community, from parents, private sector, educators, etc., realize we all have a responsibility to play when it comes to that.
What's the status of the FBE? Because I know that was a concern for
the review.
The review, and also, are we going to tweak it? Are we going to keep it?
Yeah. So the review data collection is completed. There is an agreement that it is delivered by January 2026. The final report. I know that it's going to be an extensive report, so I'm happy that the Climb Foundation, they're going to take their time, put together what they have to put together, and then we will review it in collaboration with them, because I believe in having that debrief of how the process went. And then from there, we will be able to see how if anything, we can change, what we can shift, what we can adapt, and then and then go from there. But I really need that report to be able to say this is what's going to happen. So while I know that persons are impatient and such, and I myself, after asking for this to happen for 4 years, I am also impatient. But now I recognize that data collection and data analysis takes time. And so once it's done, we're going to have the information we need, and it's just about taking concrete steps after that.
What about the housing crisis, especially in the Netherlands? Because I'm sure, seeing what's going on in the U.S., especially with what happened in Florida, you have the rising cost now of the visas and everything. So I'm sure a lot more people might start heading towards maybe Canada or the region, but majority might start heading to the Netherlands and other parts of Europe. And that's a big housing crisis that we've had for years.
Yes.
From the S4 days to the
S4 boy.
To the what else was after S4? I can't remember. But anyway, And then you also created the USC Foundation, which helped a lot of students when they came up. But housing still plays a major role.
No, it's gotten a lot worse actually, and it's to the point now where and it's funny you mentioned, but when I had started USC, part of our recommendations was for government to try to secure like a room allotment, Aruba House and Curacao SSA and whatever Aruba's was called. They had agreements with housing corporations on a set amount of rooms and such. But yeah, the challenge is now even they are having difficulties renegotiating these agreements because you have Dutch, as in living in the Netherlands, students that they cannot find housing either, and for them it's a little easier, mama and papa live right there. But yeah, it's definitely a concern. There are some websites that we will be sharing for students who are considering the Netherlands that they can sign up before they arrive to start putting their name down for rooms and such. But of course, you have to vet those sites as well. I'm sure you remember the whole CameraNet scandal where you would send money, there's no keys, there's nobody waiting for you at Schiphol.
Right.
A lot of
they got scammed.
Exactly, a lot of people got scammed with that. So it's really about first vetting and then making sure that whatever information we put out there is good for them. At the same time, Division Study Financing is also discussing with some other schools in the region on MOUs with them to kind of push for that to be an option as well. But indeed, with the US, you have already seen some students kind of change their mind, like I don't know. Even if like a lot of persons say, well, something is announced and then it's rolled back. I said, then be that as it may, for me it's more about the overall well-being of the student. It's already stressful being away from home. If you have to be away from home and be stressed about that, be stressed about classes, and be stressed about the fact that, hey, a decision might be taken on a whim and I lose everything and I have to go back home, it's not conducive to you even performing well as a student. So yeah.
Okay. Last but not least, budget. I know there was a lot of stuff talked about during the budget, especially when it comes to your ministry, pertaining to celebrations like the Flag Day, St. Martin's Day, Emancipation Day. So funding for that, and also funding for the I think the school programs when it comes to feeding the kids as well. Yeah. So in a nutshell, because I know we don't have much time. When it comes to the budget and your ministry.
For the food programs, as I've mentioned before, I'm in discussions with the French side. They have what is called the Cuisine Centrale, the central kitchen, essentially where their school meals are made, and they are able to provide at a higher capacity than they are currently providing. So we are in discussions with how that would work if we were to sign an agreement to have them provide meals to schools on the Dutch side. That comes with a whole lot of logistics, not just in the sense of transportation, but also from a legal perspective. They have very high standards where food can be stored, who can transport food, how food can be distributed, what food can be distributed, dietary restrictions and recommendations and such. They have a whole nutritionist that helps plan the meals for their schools in the collectivité. So that's one on the meal side. On the celebration side, we everyone always says we want to go bigger and so forth, and that does cost money. So it's one of two things has to happen, and I know it's going to be unpopular to say. It's either that sometimes service providers want to work out a special rate for government, that way we can go big with the resources that we have, or it has to stay within what we have available to us. And then the people will have to come out and make it what it is. That's essentially it. And we always look at Curacao especially, but there is a plan for that, and nobody really from private sector gets involved, everybody gets involved. That is what I'm accustomed to hearing, even if we look at something like in Aruba, when you think about Carnival, I grew up hearing my uncles and aunts, they are going to go make their own costume at the mass camp. And that's why they don't pay the things that we pay, for our kind of costumes here. So if there's always a give and take. It cannot just be take, essentially. So I think for me, it's really about finding ways that we can maximize what's available. And always to know that, unfortunately, as it stands right now, if we want to make holiday A big, then holiday B is probably going to have to suffer. And it's really about how do you, do the best with what you have. I have to say and commend again the Department of Culture for a wonderful Emancipation Day celebration. I'm still hearing compliments about it from those who were there. And it would be my hope as well that in the future that we see more people come out to the Emancipation Day celebrations in particular, and Flag Day as well, to show support for what is happening and what the department has planned and executed. So in the future, I have been, I am going to the Netherlands as well, end of July. And it's not just to meet the students, because I'm going up a few days before them. So I will be meeting them there, but it's also to have some meetings with housing corporations, for example, but also with funding agencies and my counterparts in the Netherlands, to see, what can we work on that we can have structural funding for certain things, funds that can maybe even be capitalized, through different investments and such. And it's about finding the right vehicle for that as well. So all of that is something that that I'm in discussion with, not just with the Netherlands and such, but with my colleague ministers as well, because you need to get support so that everybody can benefit.
There you go. Minister Melissa Gumbs, because you
Yeah.
have to be specific.
You got to be specific.
There's other Gumbs in there as well.
Three of us.
But thank you for joining us today, Minister of Education, Culture, Youth, and Sports. Before you leave, I have one more question for you, which is the question of the day.
Right.
When was the last time you've been to the beach?
I want to say it's been about 3 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah,
not bad.
It was my plan to try to go this weekend for sure, but
Okay.
it's been about. I think it was was it last weekend or weekend before? I wanted to go, and then I woke up and it was like rain, and that really just is like, maybe I can sleep a little longer.
True. Melissa, thank you for joining us today on the Super Duper Morning Show.
Thank you.
Once again, a reminder to the listeners out there, especially the kids that might be tuned in to the short story contest that you have.
Yes. So just now should be the time where you're thinking about your story, you're mapping out what you want to say, who your characters are going to be. Submissions open August 1st. We will be communicating how you submit within the next week or two, and then you can submit from August 1st to August 21st, and then your stories will be judged and the winners will be announced on the 8th of September.
All right, there you have it. Thank you again, Minister.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work. Today's one I want to station with the attitude. The time at 9 coming up next.